What is going on, everyone? My name's Boyd and I'm back with some more Age Mythology, the Titans action, spawning in the bottom of the map in the red color, playing as ISIS. No, not the terrorist organization, the Greek goddess. His name is Kimo. His opponent today also playing as ISIS in the blue color. His name is ReDo. And yes, this map is Anatolia. And I said Greek goddess, didn't I? You can see how well my brain is wired. I'm very, very smart and have a fantastic command of the English language, as you can see. And the map is Anatolia. This is a best of three for the Champions League. And I don't know if we've seen many Kimo games yet. I've only seen one or maybe two. Kimo's back, and he is back with a vengeance. He spent 2 weeks there with no computer, no practice, and he comes back, and in 1 week he's like, bam, 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 I am the king, King Kimo in the house, doing the things that he likes to do, which is poon noobs. You guys seen that, Oh, I just feel like having a just chatting stream. I'm so sorry. Do you guys remember that mockumentary back in the day called Pure Ownage, spelt with the P? My God, was that a good... Dude, just get back in there and relive that. I can't remember his name, but the guy is like, I'm just practicing my micro, and then he does these things. And I'm... Sorry. Anyways, back to the game. Anatolia, we have some fishing ships over here. You know, standard shenanigans. Both players doing a fairly similar thing. Double house from ReDo first, whereas Kimo throws his lumber camp down first. Doesn't need that second house up just yet. Wants to get the extra wood economy going. And ReDo actually going for a double dock on the bottom side of the map here. This seems to be meta from what I've seen recently. As opposed to going for a dock over the other side, possibly because ReDo may try and steal fish from Kimo. If we check out the map, he has these three spots here, and if ReDo comes over and steals these three, he can get away with having. You could potentially get, instead of having 18, you could potentially get 21. But Kimo is going to be going for those further spots first anyway, and ReDo fishing at home. What I'd love to see a little bit more from Egyptian players, in particular Egyptian players, is those first two fishing ships. Send them forward to these spots here on that first dock. Come forward and steal some fish back, and then you put your second dock down over here, and you can just fish backwards. And or even you can put that second dock up even further close to here, so there's no dumping. And by the time they dump their first fishing load, you should have that second dock up already and be totally fine. So you're not actually losing out on any walking time, just the walking time to steal the fish, and then you should be okay. It looks like Kimo is actually on this bottom side of the map over here as well, and he's going to be throwing up everything that he needs. On this side, when he has the wood, you can see his current build order is 4 villagers on the wood, 6 villagers on gold. So he's going for a really big dock spam, potentially an early second town center here. This is kind of the only reason we see this many villagers on gold. Sometimes it's sometimes you see like 5-6 villagers on wood. This is will get you the 18 fishing ship a little bit faster. With the four villagers on wood, you will be able to get those fishing ship up, but it will be slow. And you should be able to advance to the classical age at a fairly fast rate. You should be able to get there around about 5:15, 5:30 with all of those fishing ships. So we'll see if that's going to be happening now. We do see Kimo already filling up his side of the fish over here, and ReDo over here starting up on this side. So Kimo's actually in front by 2 fish, even though we put that second dock up just a little bit slower. We do have some relics on this map. We'll see if they matter at all. We have the Trio's bow here. This relic is so important in this matchup because it means that you can snipe chariot archers with your own chariot archers, because you have 2 range. You come in, you shoot, and then you run, because you shoot first, and then you can run when the return volley is happening. You dodge the arrows because your chariots move fast enough, and it can be really, really good. It's essentially bone bow from memory, except for free, and that's an expensive technology that people love to get when they go Sekhmet. We've also got the Titan's treasure here. This is another relic which could come in really important. It could be very important. It makes that the big important thing with the Titans treasure is not necessarily the food, gold, wood cost in this matchup. It's going to be that favor cost, because it is a little bit of a finite resource, because you've got that monument going up. There's a lot of favor things you need to buy, like funeral rites, like City of the Dead, like Migdol strongholds. So there's a lot of favor you have to invest in that. If you get that Titan's treasure, take that down to 25 favor, it can be absolutely huge. And we do see ReDo is having a little bit of a tough time getting that dock up here. Villager getting pushed back, and we do see all the fishing ships jumping onto this dock now. They take a long time to put it up. With 3, it will go up fairly fast. This labor are going to be retreating away as Kimo is bringing his other one in. We do see that Bast is on the way for both players, Kimo and ReDo opting for that. No real surprises there. We've got 6 villagers on the gold mine here for Kimo, throwing down an instant armory. He's got 13 villagers on wood, so we will be wanting to make some cabinets, it looks like. We do see Persines coming out and some cabinets coming out. It's just a little bit strange. I kind of feel like this matchup... Actually, Kimo's not building any cabinets. I tell a lie. That's a ReDo dock right there. Not a Kimo dock. And he's going to be under a little bit of pressure here. And I'm not sure what his plan is here. He's building some cabinets on the top side. We see these docks now coming up for ReDo. A little bit slow, a little bit funny. Villagers streaming in onto this gold mine right now, as he's going to be attempting to get to the next stage. If we check the food situation, Kimo's got 400 food, same with ReDo, both in a similar position, and they're both just going to be defending. We do see the cabinet going to be able to snipe a villager here, so that's a big win for Kimo, stopping this extra dock coming up. And also ReDo is going to be short of 3 fish here, which he should be on, which means that Kimo should be getting a slightly more food or slightly more resources than ReDo as this game progresses. And ReDo's going to need to push off these fishing spots really, really nicely if he can here. And here we go. The cabinet's coming over onto this this spot here. Going to be picking off ReDo's cabinets, which have to get out. If we check over here, we do have the armory going up. Armory's up over here. Looks like Kimo's housed slightly. And that's the life right there. How are we going for the resource? Looks like Kimo's very close. He may actually cast an early prosperity to advance here. I think he may have shortened himself. Yeah, he shortened himself shaft mine. I like an early shaft mine here if you can get it, if you can squeeze it out before the prosperity. Get a lot more gold from your prosperity and it can be huge. But there's the prosperity from ReDo. Let's check out if he's got it. He does not, and generally speaking, that prosperity is simply just there to catch up to that extra food that you've had from the fish. And there's the prosperity from Kimo as well as he's advancing to the next stage. Both players going through Nephthys. Kimo getting that shaft mine as well. So he's going to have about half of that prosperity in shaft mine here. So we'll see how much that matters or not. Kimo going to have just a little bit more resources. Still looks very similar. Kimo's got 700 wood though to ReDo's 25. The rest of the resources is very similar. So we'll see if that comes into play. That's going to allow Kimo to get out either a butt ton of... He can actually pick from this. He can get siege towers, he could go ballista ships, he could go chariot archers, or all 3 as soon as he hits the next stage. Generally speaking, we move our villagers forward at this point to throw up a Migdol over here. We see the priests are already out. Do they have Hands of the Pharaoh? There is no Hands of the Pharaoh. This is just to fight against an Ancestors Eclipse. We've also got ReDo doing exactly the same thing. So both of these players seem to be fairly well equipped with the meta on this map. Both going for something very similar here, moving their villagers forward at exactly the same time, potentially looking to grab the same town center. This town center over here is really bad for ReDo. We haven't spotted that one just yet, or haven't talked about it, but this wood here is really bad for him. He can technically get it, but it's going to be hard to defend. He should have probably thrown this Migdol up right here instead of over here. This one secures this gold mine. Is going to be easy to fight over here. We do see that the Sphinx got sniped there. That's going to hurt for Kimo, but it's not the biggest of deals. And now the cabinet's going to be just chilling over there as a precautionary measure. And the Sphinx gets sniped there, going after the Scorpion Man as well. Looks like Kimo's Scorpion Man will survive, and ReDo is going to lose this as well. That's actually really big. We see the town center now coming up for Kimo as well, throwing that Pharaoh over there. And we've got some chariot archers pumping out now for ReDo as he's throwing up his siege works as well. We'll see if it's going to matter. If this town center gets up, that means you can use mercenaries to defend, which means you can pick off those siege towers. A lot of villages here as well can be used to defend against the sort of pushes. Timing attacks. You do have Answers Eclipse, but timing attackers tend to not be that good in the Egyptian mirror, simply because of how strong villagers are to pick off those other villages. Unless you have access to Hathor, and you can cast a Locust with your siege towers to prevent them from getting picked off. Now, I would love to see this Trios bow getting picked up here, but it's just getting ignored, which is hurting my soul, your soul, everybody's soul. We need to see relics that are useful picked up. Otherwise, I'm sad, and that's life. Okay, so we've got War Elephant coming through, and now we've got Still no siege works here. Still no real pushes happening. We do see some war barges coming out over here, forcing ReDo to put war barges out. But he's actually targeted down in this dock, so he's not actually paying attention. This means that this fight is going to go heavily in favor of Kimo, who's currently up on the score, up on the town center's advantage. And Kimo is really pushing ahead now, making his own war elephants into the Migdol to hide them. That's very, very smart. Going to make potentially make ReDo think that he's got some sort of an attack here. And now Kimo also not pushing forward on this plane. He's still very, very defensive. So we'll see what he does there. And still more war elephant coming out. I would like to see him maybe throw down a second Migdol stronghold. There's the second town center for ReDo coming up. But Kimo's already on his third town center. So a big advantage there, going up to 3 town centers before ReDo starts his own third town center. If we check out the economy here, this is a lot of gold here for ReDo that he could have had in this town center, but he has opted against going for it. And it's really peculiar that he has as well. And grabbing this town center first, while it may seem safer, it's definitely going to be an issue if you cannot grab this town center. Though the map seems like it may be sort of cut down the middle in a sort of like weird shape. You know what I mean. If you follow the mouse over here, we go this way is kind of ReDo's map, and this way is kind of Kimo's map, like maybe. Who knows? And there's the Ancestors. There's the Eclipse. Siege towers coming in. The War Elephant are out already. The War Elephant pop out for Kimo. And these priests in the back, do they have funeral rites? They do not. They've got Hands of the Pharaoh. We do see some mercenary cavalry coming out. These villages should get pulled back over here to fend off this as well. And now the War Elephants are all going to be able to take down this town center. This is going to go down very, very fast with the excessive amount of War Elephants right here. The priests not microing at all onto these ReDo minions here. The minions going to be doing so much damage, taking down all of those War Elephants of Kimo, and Kimo is also going to have to deal with the priest coming through. So when he answers his Eclipse back on this one, it may not be that good. And if we check out the population situation here, ReDo at 127, Kimo at 136 though, so he's still defending this quite nicely, even though that town center has fallen. There will be no more mercenary pumping out right now for Kimo. He's trying to spam out those elephants, and it looks like his elephants are doing really, really well. Still has 3 left compared to only the one and a bit of ReDo here. Does go still on 3, right? And now the siege tower's going after the siege works, and Kimo trying to pump out his own siege towers as he's going to be ready to push back now. The chariot archers can come in, snipe these priests here. Now the Ancestors Eclipse coming down for Kimo. The priest getting pulled back. You want to be putting this Ancestors slightly further back so that the priest can't immediately snipe them, because they just all pop out and they're going to get picked off as they're spawned. But it looks like ReDo not microing this one to the best of his ability. And while this is all going on, ReDo is grabbing his third town center over here, so that's going to help him out quite a bit, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to defend against this. The chariot archers need to be focusing down that pharaoh there and then going after those priests as well. Everything else matters nada when you've got these Ancestors here that do 11.65 damage, have 6 movement speed, and are tiny, so they have none of that path blocking or like path finding issues that the big units like the cavalry have, who normally have those fast, speedy stuffs. So all he has to do is pick off those priests. He has sort of done that. He's still got 4 or so minions left, and now he can take down the lone Migdol stronghold of ReDo. and be in a really strong position. So ReDo going to have to find a way to put up his Migdol stronghold. Another one at this point. He's got 500 gold in the bag, so he can still get that one up. He's at 131 pop. Same with ReDo, both very similar on the population right now. The army of both players look like they're on the Navy over here, still trying to fight. We do have a Leviathan out and a ramming galley for Kimo as well, so it probably has a little bit more population on the water than ReDo does. Now the big advantage now that, funnily enough, seemed like a disadvantage is that ReDo's town center actually has a natural defense point here to these siege towers, so it's not going to be able to be targeted. And it's looking like Kimo's deciding to go somewhere else now. He's going for this back town center. It's much easier to hit. The army is slightly out of position, and with these 3 elephant plus the 5 siege towers, he may be able to just push in there, pick it off. He's also got heavy chariots out right now. He could probably throw down a second. Oh, he's got a second Migdol, so probably doesn't need a second one at this point, a third one at this point. And he's moving in at this point, looking at these villages here, chopping this down. Looks like this is probably not the best place to move through, but this is going to be a lot of villager kills, and we do see the pharaoh and the priests moving over here to fight this one. The chariot archers trying to fight off these guys. Just send that siege tower in to see if you can tank up some units there. Looks like ReDo pushing back, and the siege towers are trying to fight this. Still no heavy elephants for Kimo, one of the biggest upgrades in the game. Really important to get that one because of how high the base HP of the elephants are. That extra, I think it's 10%, but it might be 15% if we just take it's 15% extra hack damage. Sorry, hack armor. So a huge amount of extra HP for those elephants. Almost, what is that? Like 150? No, that doesn't seem right. I'm not going to do the math. 50? No, I'm not still at 75 extra HP. And now it looks like Kimo is almost able to push in here. He's picked off most of those villagers. We got 7 over here, 4 in on the wood there. So there is enough to take down the siege towers, but not necessarily those war elephants, which do a lot of damage to the town center. They get that extra 50% bonus damage against buildings. So very, very strong. Looks like the chariot's trying to pick off some priests for some reason here, as that's just like a waste of population space here. You kind of want to leave it alive if you can, because it's sitting there taking up 2 population space. If you're not making any myth units, it's only doing 3.6 damage per second compared to like 9.35 of everything else. So small little things there, but Kimo still trying to push in. We do have a bunch of idle units over here for ReDo as well. And I think finally, looks like Kimo's counter-attack here has been delayed, and then we are seeing some camelry getting built here. Maybe Kimo a little bit short on the food at this stage. No, he's still got a lot of resources. Surprised he's not making elephants still. Maybe the camelry do a little bit better against those mercenary cavalry. We do see a scorpion man coming out. So that's no heroes now to pick that one off. So that's obviously why he went after that priest. Now ReDo bringing his own priest and pharaoh back in to this fight at this point. And we do see some more units. Well, I mean, the Scorpion Man will die, but it's gonna take quite a few units with it. Now, revisiting this middle gold mine. The gold situation on this map is really not that good. There's only 2 large gold mines here for both players, so you do need to start that trade route nice and early. Otherwise, you're going to be running into some serious issues, and we have got Kimo already starting his trade route here. He's already in the Mythic Age through Osiris, and it's looking like ReDo's actually going to be able to push back over here. There's nothing that he can win with this water apart from killing the fishing ships, but I think Kimo's going to be totally fine with giving that up because he can just move in onto the farms. Farms fully upgraded are going to be better than fully upgraded fishing ships, simply because the walking time and things like that. I think they also just gather faster as well. We do see Kimo throwing up walls here. He's ready to start sieging this with catapult. He wants to end this one right now. Does he have some catapult queued up? He does not. He does have champion chariots coming through and trying to push in at this point. We're very, very far in front at this point. It looks like ReDo very low on the resources. You know, the siege works coming up, trying to throw these walls up everywhere to defend against this. The siege towers spotting this one nice and early, going to be destroying that wall to prevent anything like that. There is a mummy here now for Kimo to pick off some of these really expensive mercenary cavalry. 120 resources is a lot of resources for a unit. It's about the same cost as like a Hippocon, for example, and they do basically have same stats as like maybe like a heavy Hippocon. I want to guess if somebody can tell me what the comparison between mercenary cavalry And actually, they've got so much base armor there. That's crazy. All right, I take it all back. These are broken units, and they are way too strong. We need big, heavy nerfs. Heavy nerfs, people. We need them now. Okay. Kimo trying to push through here. He's still finding it difficult, but there are catapults out now, so that's gonna be a difficult time now for ReDo to deal with. As the catapult's gonna probably get walled in here, and then he's going to be able to pick off everything. The Son of Osiris sitting in the back, able to do so much damage to these mercenary cavalry. While he doesn't like one hit them or two hit them, he does so much damage to them with the 60% hack damage. They do have what 40% hack armor, but it's still very, very good. Well, the catapult needs to get onto this. I'd love to see engineers getting grabbed. Engineers is one of those upgrades which I feel like is so severely underrated in how much better it makes your siege weapons. If we check that one out quickly, it's like an extra 50% crush damage. No, it's an extra 25% crush damage on the ranged attacks, and also some extra HP, right? No, I tell a lie. It's extra range. Okay, it's not that good. Take it all back. It's kind of like getting bronze weapons. But there's the game. GG, well played by Kimo, as I'm just trying to work out if upgrades are good or not. Send help. Okay, so Kimo takes this first game with some a pretty dominating display, to be honest. At no point did I think that Kimo was in any real threat. It looks like ReDo almost got a push through here, but did not work out for him. And I think he didn't micro very well against the re-push back out with those ancestors. They did way too much damage considering where Kimo cast that one. And if we check out that post game, it's going to tell a huge story about the military situation here. 103 to 145. If we look at the resource total as well, you can just see that the players, they're very similar. Very similar. And then right here is when things start going a bit crazy for Kimo. And if we look at where that was like about 835. If we look at like where the settlements come in, we'll see if that makes any difference there. Little bit. This is kind of where Kimo gets the advantage a little bit. And civilian units here. That's actually remarkably similar in this stage. So that's just a testament to how good Kimo's efficiency with his villagers are. At no point do you see villagers like not upgraded. You can see he's already got all the upgrades here versus ReDo, who's got, what has he got? Hand axe and pickaxe. That is actually, after everything I've said, that is the story of this game. The story of this game is get your economic upgrades, and that's how it is. Anyways, if you enjoyed this game, please consider hitting that follow button on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.